Find the distance between the following numbers. A, -5 and 7. When you get distance, you have to subtract the two values. So what I like to do is start with a subtraction sign, and then I put my two values on each side of the subtraction sign. So I'm going to put my -5 here and my 7 here. So now this looks like subtracting integers. And when we subtract integers, if we have the same sign, you have to get the sum of the absolute values. So this is really saying 5 plus 7. And 5 plus 7, as we know, is 12. Now we're going to keep it consistent as if this was subtracting integers, and we're going to follow all the rules. So same sign, you get the sum, and then you have to keep the sign, which is negative. So that answer will be -12. But since we're talking about distance, we have to make sure it's in absolute value because distance is never negative. So the distance between -5 and 7 is 12. B, 5 and -15. So you start with your subtraction sign and you put both numbers on each side of the subtraction sign. I'll put 5 here and -15 here. Now just like subtracting integers, when we have two subtraction signs next to each other, it's subtracting a negative is the same as adding its opposite. So we can rewrite this as 5 plus 15. And we know 5 plus 15 is 20, and it's already positive, so we don't have to go any further than that. So the distance between 5 and -15 is 20. C, -3 and -14. You start with your subtraction sign, put each number on each side of the subtraction sign. Now we have another subtracting integers expression. Just like example B, we have our two negative signs. Subtracting a negative is the same as adding its opposite. So you can add a line, change the sign. So that is -3 plus 14. And back to adding integers. We have different signs, so you have to get the difference between the two values, between the absolute values. So that's really 14 minus 3. And 14 minus 3 is 11. And to go back, we have to see which one has the greater absolute value. In this case, it's the 14, and it's positive. So this value will stay positive. And since it's positive, that's our final answer because we're talking about distance. So the distance between -3 and -14 is 11. B, 5 and 17. We start with our subtraction sign, and then we put each number on each side of the subtraction sign. So this is saying 5 minus 17. And when we're subtracting integers, different signs, you have to get the difference. So here, in this case, this 17 is negative, and the 5 is positive. So we have different signs. So we have to subtract the absolute values. And remember, subtract the lesser absolute value from the greater absolute value. So 17 minus 5 is 12. And to go back to see what sign that goes along with this 12, we have to see which one has the greater absolute value. In this case, it's the 17, and it's negative. So that answer will be -12. But since we're talking about distance, we have to make sure it's an absolute value. So the final answer for the distance between 5 and 17 is 12 units.